on Simo and Goss for breakfast. Coach's Call.
Thanks to Hungry Jack's, the all-new Eggs Benny. Only at Hungry Jack's. Dom Sheed on his way after 7, bringing plenty of that in, I hope.
He will be.
Let's go back to Thursday quickly. Gold Coast, 8-point winners over Hawthorn.
Yeah, well, look, it was a good game. Up there, very difficult to win if you're not Gold Coast. And, they're just a half-back run. The numbers suggest that they're top 4, really. The way they executed Gold Coast. And to Hawthorn's credit, they come back late, missing lots of players. The centre bounce and the clearances, they were minus 15 Hawthorn. So that was the biggest difference in the game, is that the clearance differential, and they couldn't claw that back too much, and they kicked 8 goals to 6 from stoppages.
Isaac Heaney put on a clinic, 11-12-78 for Sydney, 16-point winners over Carlton, 9-8-62.
Yeah, the Blues don't know how to come back. It was a tight game and they lost ascendancy. I mean, Heaney and Warner had 43 possessions between them in the second half. So, don't get beat by what you know. That very important. Your best players play well for every side, but Heaney and Warner, they're carrying that side at the moment. So, yeah, Blues would be disappointed that they cannot find a way to win when the game's on the line.
An emotional time for the Collingwood Football Club, as expressed by their coach, Craig McRae. They hung on. Adelaide had their chances. Final margin, 10 points.
Yeah, look, they're finding a way to win. They've got a system that's in place. It's not just the numbers that we look at from an analyst's point of view. It's knock-ons, it's Shepherds, it's predictability, and that's winning them games, guys, because once again, it was 55 inside 50s to 47. So their backline's holding up really well. Collingwood's centre forward game is in good health, and they've got so much belief.
Geelong smashed Port Adelaide in Adelaide by 76 points. Ken Hinkley with their final quarter fade-outs.
Oh well, you have to ask the question at 0 and 10. Having said that, we've won 4 games. We've been in close battles in the last. But we have lost them all. So there's some differences in them, but the reality is the stats the stat.
Port Adelaide have lost 2 games out of their last 3 by 70 and 90 points, and you've tipped them to beat for
I have. Well, I thought he said in his press conference he was alluding to the 6-day break, but they didn't. No, Geelong had the 6-day break. They had a 7-day break, and minus 15 inside 50s. They conceded 4 goals from forward 50 stoppages. The clearance, they kicked 2 goals to Geelong's 10. Cameron had a day out in the end. He kicked his 7 goals. And Port, they used to live off front half footy, guys. Forward half turnovers. They've had 13 forward half turnovers to, 1 goal they got out of it. So their identity's a little bit out of whack at the moment. What are they trying to do? Is the question. And hopefully they don't bring that to Optus this week.
They're in trouble, mate. They're in trouble. And they're in trouble long term, I think. Dockers by 34 points. Love this result. 13-17-95 to 8-13-61.
Yeah, well, once again, with the Dockers, their midfield, it's pretty important for them. So, the Giants are a bit off, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They're just not playing great football. I don't think the depth is there for them. But you got to do what you got to do with a young side, and plus 7 at centre bounce clearances is what we're used to from a Fremantle side. Plus 11 at clearances around the grounds. The Giants, they've only had 12 forward half turnovers themselves. So the ability to get outside that back line and rebound well from a Fremantle point of view was really good. Contest was up again, plus 17 at contested ball, and just a good even spread. Cooper Simpson playing half back brought a bit of skill, and that's not easy to do, to be a small half forward and go, hey, listen, we're going to play your half back down at Peel, and then you're going to come in and play AFL and hold your own. I think that's been a good move as well. And Fredericks, whatever they did with him, was a really good move. He looked dangerous all day.
He certainly did. We're doing the coach's call thanks to Hungry Jack's. Craving something fancy on the fly? Hungry Jack's has you covered with the brand new Eggs Benny. Western Bulldogs absolutely poleaxed Essendon by 91 points.
Yes. Nothing went right for Essendon. And I think, they've been in pretty good form from a wins point of view, but there was just chalk and cheese this week, that plus 20 ground balls around the ground. They looked sharper by hand. They looked dangerous every time they went in there. Inside 50s were 61 to 37, Goss. Marks inside 50, 21 to 9. So, and, they've kicked 6 goals, 3 from centre forward turnovers. So from an analytics point of view, it's just that's where you want your score sources to come from, your front half, and their ability to keep it in there and lock it in there was sensational. So they're in really good touch, but I reckon they're due for a loss this week.
You're tipping your money. No wonder
I don't know what
you're
I'm
off.
doing.
No, I don't think you do. Scott Scheffler won by a lot. Lots of emotion. So he's won the major, the PGA Championship by a lot. Everyone else fell off the radar. North Melbourne, I watched the last couple of minutes of this game. Richmond had chances. They just couldn't find a way. North Melbourne home by 4 points.
Yeah, high-pressure game. And when it's a high-pressure game, like both over 200, it looks messy. So, yeah, I don't know which team you'd rather be at the moment. I still think North have got a lot of upside, and to get over the line was important for everyone, especially Clarko.
Melbourne by 11 points over Brisbane, stormed all over the top of them.
Yeah, last quarter. I mean, I know your alarm bell wasn't. No, it was Marrick, wasn't it? It wasn't Brisbane. But yeah, look, Brisbane have had
They were the
9
heavy-duty
forward half.
moment, Brisbane.
Oh, were they? 9 forward half turnovers. Once again, I speak about this a lot, but the last quarter was the quarter that was, this is what Carlton can't do. Just turn it on the last quarter, drop the hammer, and Melksham's done it again with a key half. It's a way to do it. I could explain it to you another time. It's that predictable what he does against intercept defenders. So, yeah, great performance for everyone.
And we saw it yesterday. Wallich Marawa, the West Coast Eagles, by 28 points over York St Kilda.
Well, we're trying to look at what was going wrong for the Saints last night when we were commentating, and it was fundamentals. It's just the inability to connect and chain of possession from the back half. That's been one of West Coast's concern, along with clearances. So the clearances, they still lost by 7 West Coast, but they found a way, and if just in the hunt, the other parts of the game are starting to come together well, and a really good collective all-round performance by all.
Simo and Goss for breakfast. Between the lines.
This is what I like. This is when coaches say stuff and then Simo goes, I don't know if that's exactly how.
This one might be the opposite.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out because Michael Voss had this to say after Carlton's loss.
I guess it's stating the obvious, isn't it? They finished off the game better than us. I think that's what makes you pretty pissed off, to be honest. We had the game where we wanted it and we couldn't finish off the game.
He gets angry.
Well, I think there's a measured response from all the losing coaches this weekend, like a big losses where you could be forgiven for letting them come out and blow off a bit of steam about how poor the performances were. Like Brad Scott was pretty measured.
He was 25 minutes late for his press conference.
Okay.
Late at night. I think he had time to let off the steam.
Ken Hinkley, pretty measured.
Yep.
I mean, Kingsley, we had a bad day. Things happen. So all of them were pretty measured except for Vossi, who was like, no, I'm sick of losing like this. And it's a pattern. It's a pattern for the Blues. And I reckon he's put it on the group before. And the problem when you do it and you go, listen, when are we going to stand up and win a last quarter? When the game's on the line, this and this. Because they've been in front at halftime most of the year. So to fade out and not kick with a response in the last quarter when, part of it I'm sure Vossi will reflect on. And part of it is the playing group not standing up with 10 minutes to go, 6 points down or 6 points up. They concede 3 or 4 goals, game's over, and it's going to cost them this season. It's the 4th time it's happened.
I think Brad Scott is going to get whacked tonight on all the footy shows.
So
he
it's
talked
interesting.
About they did well on Bontempelli, and everyone's just gone, really?
Okay. Yeah, he had 23 touches, 8 score involvement or something like that. But it is interesting, who's in the gun from a media point of view? If it's in the East, if you're on the shows tonight and
it's easier to say who's not in the gun.
No, I know who's not in the gun. Who's in the gun? Who's going to? So is it the succession plan at Port Adelaide? Is it Essendon's underbelly? Is it Carlton's fade outs? It's not West Coast or Fremantle, so we can actually watch from afar. But there's always, when you watch the shows and you're at a club, you go, don't be us.
Because are Brisbane in the gun at all?
No, I don't think so. I think
just because they won the flag, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and they lost 2 games for the year.
And they're second on the ladder.
Yeah, so I think they need to get a wriggle on. Who have they got this week? Just question without notice. We went through it earlier, but
Hawthorn.
Yeah, that's
Melbourne,
actually going to be a big game. I think I
Huge.
tipped Brisbane on that one.
You're tipping us at the
Well,
You're really
it was
bad
so
at
good.
tipping.
Now I'm chasing. I'm chasing for an upset. And
Chris Scott had this to say, Geelong, about the umpiring.
It's difficult to bring up without, because the headline is, are you complaining about? Like 4 umpires doesn't work in my opinion, but that's it's part of a list that probably fall into the category of, well, that's my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right.
It's difficult to bring up.
Well, do you remember when James Hird got done for critiquing the umpires on the footy show? It must have been 20 years ago, and he got a $20,000 fine. The AFL don't seem to be pushing back on some of the rhetoric and the conversations around umpiring from a coaching point of view. Normally you get a phone call, okay, listen, we don't do that. You don't speak like that. Next time you do it, you'll get fined, and that's a bit of a please explain. Or I've heard the last 3 weeks, obviously the media's picked up on it a little bit. The coaches are commenting on it. Like Vossi said, there's only 2 people that didn't see that free kick in the whole stadium, or the out of bounds on the full play.
Yep.
You normally get a phone call. I just don't know if they're pushing hard enough. They need to draw a line in the sand, the AFL, about backing off the arms.